we discuss the... Welcome to the Security Squawk podcast, where we discuss the business of cybersecurity. Here are your co-hosts and cybersecurity experts, Bryan Hornung, Reginald Andre, and Randy Bryan.
What's up, everyone? What's that?
Sorry. I said, once again, the crowd is crazy for Andre.
They do, 100%.
Settle down, Carl. Settle down.
I know. Welcome to another crazy week as we break down the breaches. Security Squawk podcast. Andre, why don't you fill our audience in on what the fee is?
There is no fee. It is free, $99. All we do is we ask that you like and share. And if you have a coworker, or supervisor, or your boss, or another business owner that you feel will benefit from everything that we're saying, please send them the link and share it with them.
Yes, sir. Share us out. Help us grow our platform. Help us grow our show. What you really are doing is helping people get an understanding of cybersecurity, the threats that are out there, and how they can begin to protect themselves. So we got a bunch of breaches in the news this week, guys, and we're going to kind of go all over the place and try to keep it somewhat organized. But right off the bat, we have this Enzo Biochem, who was hit with ransomware, and they're a New York-based biotechnology company. And they disclosed that a ransomware attack in April of 2023 has led to sensitive data exposure for millions of patients. Here we go again. Enzo Biochem produces DNA-based tests to detect viral and bacterial diseases, including COVID-19 and cancer. And in their SEC filing, the company said that the sensitive data, including the clinical test information of 2,470,000 individuals and approximately 600,000 social security numbers, was snatched by an unnamed ransomware group. An investigation is ongoing, and no details about any ransom demand were available at press time. All right, guys, here we go. Thoughts on this? I mean, DNA markers, just lots of health information that's out there and was disclosed in an SEC filing. Randy, thoughts? Yeah, you see you shaking your head there.
Oh, I'm about to break my neck. This smells of conspiracy all over. And I'm not big into all that stuff, but holy moly, this is the DNA, like you said, of 2.5 million people. So I really hope they get to the bottom of this. Hope it's not some kind of an inside job. That's my big fear. Like this is the kind of stuff. Anyway, sorry. I can't stop shaking my head. This one really got me started bad, man. But 2.5 million people's data released potentially. Bad news.
And 2.5 million potentially phishing targets, right? With
yes.
Information that you could craft a really convincing message to some of these victims. And, if you're really good at, doing that, most people aren't even going to think twice because it's going to seem so legitimate. How would you know that particular company, you took a COVID test, and sent it off to that company? More than likely, most people are going to think that that's not something that, most people are going to find out about, and they're going to probably not scrutinize that email as much as they should when it comes through.
Now I feel kind of bad because it doesn't necessarily say that their DNA was released. So still bad, still can be used in phishing, but not as bad as I thought. So shaking my head a little slower.
I mean, it is, but it's still, you are still sending tests in, right? Mm-hmm. And that has all kinds of medical information and personal information attached to it. But that's the biggest thing. It's and you got to think with that kind of numbers, I guess like what people don't realize is like the details of this stuff, right? And you're looking at numbers, right? 2.5 million. There's probably a pretty good chance that a lot of those people are in groups, like they work for a certain company, and that company used this company to get certain tests like COVID tests and things like that. So, it kind of, when you're doing things like that, like you're grouping these tests together to save money from a healthcare cost standpoint, you're also making it easier for hackers to craft these phishing messages that can seem really convincing. They know the company, they know the employer, who that may have used this company as a group. Um, these are the things that these hackers look at and do to take advantage of these people.
And
Andre, thoughts?
I could see some really crafty phishing emails saying something like, hey, thanks so much for your help with this clinical trial. We just want to confirm your social is ends in 5272. And of course, that's it because they already know it. Go ahead and enter your ACH information right here for us, and you'll get that check in a matter of minutes. And I mean, there's just so much creative ways they're going to be using using AI to help them.
Right. Or we found something new in your test. Click here to log in and see what it is. I mean, a lot of stuff.
So we got a big one out of Idaho, the Idaho Falls Community Hospital, and then the Mountain View Hospital. A cyber attack at Idaho Falls Community Hospital left medical staff scrambling and forced some ambulances to divert to other medical centers. The attack, which took place last Monday, also impacted nearby Mountain View Hospital, Urgent Care Center, Mountain View Ready Care, and several smaller clinics. Idaho Falls was forced to divert ambulances for several days, and staffers had to resort to pencil and paper charting. The hospital would not comment on whether or not the attack was ransomware or how long they expected it to take to restore normal operations. Here we go again. Another hospital. What's that?
No, hospitals. How long has the FBI been telling hospitals, get your stuff together? You are a prime target. And this is just another, us just saying the same stuff again because it's just happening every week.
Yeah, hospitals are an easy target, number one, from a cybersecurity standpoint, but they're also a great target from the standpoint of getting paid for ransomware. And of course, this hospital doesn't want to admit that they have ransomware because most hospitals end up paying the ransomware because they're not prepared. And then something horrible like this happens. And in order to start serving patients again, they learn quickly in their incident response that paying the ransom may be the quickest road to getting back on your feet. And I know nobody wants to hear that. And everybody's like, oh, never pay the ransom, never pay the ransom. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're living in fantasy land if you think that most CEOs out there, especially of, Fortune 500 companies and very large companies, if you think these CEOs are not considering paying the ransom at some point, you're fooling yourself. So,
yeah, especially when it's life and death. There's one thing where your business operation stops, but when you have sick people coming to you, you have to make that. There's no other thing you can do.
Yep, that's 100% right. I mean, that's why they target them, because they know what customers they serve, and they know the impact of when they can't perform at a normal level.
Yeah, they posted actually this morning on their website that they're still experiencing the issues. It says that they're working with the nation's top security experts. They're slowly making progress getting back. They say that they're able to accept transfers from other hospitals to their ICU, pediatric, and intermediate care floors. They're working as quickly and safely as possible to bring all of our departments to full operational capacity. So it seems like even today they're still limping along.
100%. Yep. And that's the funny thing, because I early on in this attack, kind of the way that they were talking, in my opinion, and the things that I was reading was that they were talking like they thought they were going to be back online in fairly short order, like within a week. And I was kind of laughing when I read that. I was like, "There's no way." I was like, "There's no way it's not worse than what I'm thinking." Especially when you hear it's affected other hospitals, right? So that means like these guys move laterally in the network pretty good. If they were able to affect multiple physical places, because they may be physically separate, but the network may not be separate. And they were able to hit all these different buildings and all these different facilities because of that, right? So this is why the three of us talk about network segmentation all the time. And here's another example of why you'd want to do that, because you don't want some hospital, halfway across the county to impact your operations. And that's exactly what happened here, unfortunately.
They did release on Friday, June 2nd, so almost a week ago. They did say that they gave a little more information, and they said they took systems offline to ensure the stability and security of their environment. So anyway, that's kind of all.
I mean, it reeks of just another organization that has failed to prepare for something like this. So now they're getting a crash course in how things need to be. So another data breach out there, guys, around election time. Elections are heating up, and the data breach impacts 58,000 Hillsborough voters, the election office says, and I believe this is Hillsborough in Florida. And the county supervisor of elections is informing an estimated 58,000 voters that their personal information may have been stolen in a recent cyber attack. The spokesperson for the agency said that a bad actor illegally accessed and copied files containing voters' personal identification information, including social security numbers and driver's license numbers. Officials were quick to reassure voters that the county's voter registration system and the ballot tabulation system were not accessed, and state and federal agencies are assisting in the investigation. It says a lot when people care more about like whether votes are accurate or not versus protecting people's personal information. Because like the way I read that, it almost seems like, well, nobody messed with any like voting system and ballot tabulation. Like, who cares? Like, you got people's information that's being stolen. It's way more important and it's way more valuable than whether a vote was tabulated correctly, because we can always go back and do that. Once you let these social security numbers out and these driver's license numbers out, that ain't so easy to put back in the box. Or change or, rectify. It's a big mess for a lot of people.
And this can easily be phished, knowing what they know. They could literally go and sign up a domain, hillsborocounty.org.
Oh my God.
And you know what I mean?
There's just so many things you can do. Yep. And, it's a worrisome event because you have a government agency that handles highly sensitive data. And it's also voting data, right? There may be people out there, like, I personally don't care if you know how I voted one way or the other, but there are other people that don't feel the same way that I do. Like, it's almost like you don't know who they voted for. You don't know what party they belong to. And they keep that very close to the vest. And they don't want that getting out there. And here it is. I mean, it's going to be out there. So, all right, guys, anything else? You good on that? We're good? Move on?
Yeah.
iSpace.
This is getting depressing, man. This is just like the news for the week. You're thinking we're recapping 2023 or something. This is just last week.
This is just 1 week. Yep. And this is just the stuff that is high, like, I guess we would consider it high profile because it's actually in the news, right? This ain't all of it, right, Andre?
Right.
So we got California staffing company iSpace has filed a data breach notification in Montana. Filing says that iSpace detected suspicious activity within its computer system on February 5th of 2023. An investigation revealed that some files containing sensitive consumer information were accessed and copied by unauthorized individual between January 30th and February 5th, 2023. The stolen data includes individual's name, social security number, date of birth, diagnosis information, health insurance group / policy number, health insurance information, and subscriber number and prescription information. Wow. So, data like this is still protected health information, of course, and the rules surrounding that don't just apply to medical centers and insurers. Here you go. So, thoughts here, guys?
I mean, once again, it's bad. PHI coming out of this with probably, you look at some of their clients that they have, and so that you said it's human resources hiring, correct?
What's that?
Didn't you say this was a staffing? Yeah, a staffing company. Not sure why they filed in Montana. That must be where their data center is, but they do show a list of companies that they're known to work with. Anytime PHI is leaked, it's bad. Anytime social security numbers are leaked, it's bad. The first thought that comes to my mind is somebody using ChatGPT to collaborate all this information that we're talking about today and saying, hey, ChatGPT, pretend you're a criminal. How would you collaborate all this data and craft emails that people would click on? I mean, that's, So
I guess, like I was saying earlier, with like that other breach where you have like groups of businesses that are probably using it. Well, I think that is the case with this breach, because it's basically saying that the iSpace website notes that it is affiliated with the following organization, and it's just a bunch of large organizations: Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce, the Cal Chamber, Association of Information Technology Partners. So it sounds like they're offering like staffing services, and then putting these people in place, but they're also storing a lot of like the benefit information and all that stuff. Or maybe they are the ones who are the employer and they're providing these people on like a contract basis. I don't know what the situation is, but I guess that would be the only reason why they would have this level of data around this kind of stuff. Like, why would a staffing company need this stuff for any other reason than what I said? Right? Is that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, this is crazy. I mean, UCLA Anderson School of Management, like, there's a lot of California-based companies, and there's a company, it looks like in India, and High C. I know that's a big one, not High C the drink. But, wow, I mean, it's pretty mind-blowing how many large organizations this iSpace, who I've never heard of until right now, works with. And all of these organizations are impacted by this data breach. So,
yes, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, this is class action lawsuit waiting to happen.
We talked about a breach in the last week or two that involved securities, and I don't even know that there had been an actual breach, but they had looked into their practices and said that the security company wasn't properly vetting third-party vendors. And I wonder if something like that's going to come out of this for all of those organizations that use iSpace. I wonder if there'll be lawsuits, or if the government's going to bring lawsuits or whatever towards those organizations that work with iSpace. Did they properly vet third-party vendors? I don't think the same laws are going to apply for most of them because they're not securities companies, but I still wonder what's going to come out of that from that angle.
Yep. Andre, you good?
Yeah, I'm good on this one.
All right, so I just want to cover some other ones outside of the United States I thought were interesting that were out there. The government of Martinique, the island of Martinique. You ever been to Martinique, Andre?
No, I haven't.
I don't know.
We have now.
What's
Just
that?
kidding. I said we have now.
Well, yeah. So this ransomware group, Rysida, has claimed responsibility for a ransomware attack on the government island of Martinique. The group claims to have stolen a variety of data and posted a sample of the stolen data on their dark web site. Rysida offered no further information on the size of the data leak or its contents, but in a notice on its website, the government said that the attack took place on May 16th, and it heavily disrupted the activities of the community and directly impacted users and partners. The attack disrupted education at Martinique schools at every level and caused difficulty in the payment of social benefits. No specifics were available about any ransom demand at press time. Wow. So, I mean, this is the first time we've seen countries, smaller countries, right? Your Caribbean countries, maybe your Central America countries, some South American countries that I can recall have been hit with ransomware. Like their legit government has been taken down by ransomware groups. And, you know, not surprising when their GDP is probably equal to some businesses here in the US who have also been hit with ransomware. So I just find it interesting that these countries don't even have the resources to fight off this stuff. Thoughts there around this with these developing countries and just the fact that, you know, ransomware groups are going to take them down too?
Yeah, I remember Costa Rica last year.
Right.
They were down for 2-3 months, and the ransom amount payment was crazy. We never heard about what the outcome was, if they paid or not. But this is, again, if the government can't help themselves, they're definitely not going to be helping you. So if you're, what is it? We always say, what's the budget for your IT should be for about 3 to 5%.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, for your cybersecurity, your top line.
If you're not, and it's not even about if you're not paying. I was going to say if you're not, if your line item is not 3 to 5% of your top line revenue, then you're not spending enough. But it's not even about the spend, because I'm sure iCloud iSpace. It said that they had 800 employees and about 22 million in revenue approximately. So they could very well have had the budget, but who do you have running the systems? Who's your IT director, CISO, all of these other things. So it's not about only spending the money, but it's also about making sure you have the right people in the upper C-level suites.
Or you have enough people, right? Because you can't just hire one person and expect them to take care of all of this, right? It takes a team of people. You might be able to hire one person, but if this stuff's going to be done right, they're going to go outsource that and bring a team of people in. I mean, that's just reality at this point. So
a little side note on this. I looked a little bit into this group, and the way that they know about the group is when they ransomware, they pop up a chat that says they're the cybersecurity team. And we've seen this before with ransomware, but they say we're the cybersecurity team, and we're basically here doing you a favor because we found this cybersecurity hole in your systems. And that's kind of how they couch it. I've seen some ransomware notes that said that, like, hey, we're just doing what your IT people should have done. Yeah. You know, this is a big favor and a service.
And here's our fee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I like it when they do that, honestly. It's like, okay. So I thought this one was interesting too, guys. This, again, another payroll company. We talked a lot about our Cronus last year, which had a huge impact on a lot of companies. And here we have another company out of Europe and the United Kingdom, but employees of several major UK companies, including British Airways, Boots, and the BBC, are being informed that their personal information may have been exposed in a ransomware attack on a payroll company, Zealous. Bad actors were able to leverage a zero-day exploit in a popular file transfer system named MoveIt, made by Progress Software, which is also something that the FBI came out with a bulletin about either last week or the week before. The Klopp ransomware group has claimed responsibility for the attack, and Zealous has not disclosed which of its clients were impacted by the attack. I can bet all of them, but some have already come forward. British Airways disclosed that employee data, including national insurance numbers, salaries, contact details, sort codes, and bank account numbers. And Boots said that its staff have been informed that their data may have been compromised, including names, surnames, employee numbers, dates of birth, email addresses, and the first lines of home addresses, national insurance numbers. Details from the incident were still emerging at press time. This is the second zero-day exploit involving a file transfer protocol that has wreaked havoc in 2023. We talked a lot about the other one, which was that go anywhere transfer thing, whatever that was called. Thoughts here, guys? I mean, yeah, these big payroll companies, they house a lot of data. And these are some pretty big names, some pretty big companies with thousands of employees at each of them. So pretty interesting stuff here, guys. I mean, this is like, again, this is, as Andre said, this has only been a week of stuff that we're covering here. And it just seems like so much to me. I mean, and we've been talking about that a lot this year. That there's just a lot of things going on out there and a lot of attacks happening. And this is just another one. I mean, I think the three examples we talked about today impacted other businesses underneath of them, which is wild. So any thoughts on how we're going to stop this?
It's not going to be stopped, man. It's too much money to be made, and people are only going to spend the money when it hits them after. And yeah,
it'll be a cat and mouse game that goes on forever. Or remember in I think it was Terminator 3, where they actually turned over everything to the AI because they couldn't stop all of the cybersecurity attacks, which were also manufactured by the AI. So hopefully we don't get to that point. But really, for all seriousness, we're looking at a cat and mouse game that's just going to go on and on and on and on. And the downside of that is, if you're being proactive in the cat and mouse game, you're less likely to get hit. If you're just down here at the bottom of the list with unpatched systems, unsegregated networks, not running a security software that's looking at traffic going in and out, if you're down there at the bottom of the list like that, you're pretty likely to get hit. And as the cat and mouse game goes back and forth, it makes it worse for you if you're still hanging around down there at the bottom.
Yeah, it looks like we got a little bit more time here, guys. So I'm going to jump into this Explain over out of Switzerland, IT services company. It only caught my eye because they're in our line of business. And I just thought the write-up here was a little bit interesting. Play Ransomware Gang is behind a ransomware attack that snarled operations for some of Switzerland's government. The attack on Explain, an IT company that supplies homeland security solutions, left several Swiss government arms in the lurch, including the Swiss Army, government agencies, and the Federal Office for Customs and Border Security, and the Federal Office of Police, as well as several local police forces. Some stolen data has already been released. Explain said that they have not communicated with the gang and do not intend to pay the ransom. The company stressed that it offers its customers online applications and does not store the applications and data itself. Wow. I mean, that's basically like the FBI for Switzerland. This company does stuff for it, and it's almost like they minimize the role that they play in the supply chain by saying we only provide online applications. So where is it stored? I guess would be the question, right? You provide the app, you provide the front end, but the back end goes where?
Right.
It's weird. But just another interesting one that, again, this is going to ruffle the feathers of the Swiss government, especially the people on the security side of things. And, I guess wow, you're really poking the bear here, in my opinion, if you're a cyber criminal. Because you just don't, I guarantee you they didn't know, or maybe they did once they got in, but I guarantee you they had no idea that Explain had these people as clients. Right. So, and then Toyota was hit, guys. Basically, Toyota has been chock full of these types of incidents where their partners have had an issue. And Toyota this week discovered another misconfiguration incident following the incident from 2 weeks ago. In this case, the company said that data pertaining to about 260,000 car owners has been exposed due to the flub. Exposed data includes in-vehicle driver identifiers, mapping data that's displayed on the navigation systems of customers in Japan, more detailed data including customer names, postal and email addresses, a Toyota-issued customer identifying number, and the vehicle's registration and identifying numbers may have been exposed for an unspecified number of customers in Asia and Oceania. 2 security flubs like this in many weeks, but it's been more than that for Toyota. They're kind of like the T-Mobile of the auto world, constantly having partners and things like that. And again, you're a big company like this, you need to do a better job of vetting your partners and your vendors' security. So otherwise known as third-party risk assessment. You're determining whether the people that are supplying your business with goods and services so you can deliver on your business, are they doing cybersecurity good enough so it doesn't impact your business? And clearly Toyota has a gap there because they continue to have problems with their partners being breached and hacked, which is then impacting their business. Right? So
yeah, are they saying that this data was exposed and then used? Because the one a couple weeks ago was 2 million records were exposed, but they said they didn't see any evidence that they had been used. Is that kind of the same thing here? Or do we know that?
Yeah, they're saying may have been exposed, right? So you and I know, and that's why Andre's making that face, because they don't have the telemetry to definitively say that it actually happened. So companies like this, they play this game where it's like, we don't really know. We don't have any evidence that it actually was accessed. We don't have any evidence that it wasn't either, right? So you have to assume that it was.
And they're not going to do all of this just to a bad guy is not breaking into a bank just to see how good the lock is. He's going for the money,
right?
So it's the same concept.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess part of me thinks companies like Toyota, they can do this kind of stuff, at least assessing their third-party vendors for their security maturity. But on the flip side of it, companies I feel like companies are thinking that this stuff gets stolen and nothing happens with it. It goes into the big abyss of the dark web and nobody does anything with it. It just sits out there and nobody needs to worry. Just, keep going to work every day and paying your Toyota lease. I mean, that's kind of how I feel at this point. Do you agree, Randy, a little bit with what I just said there, or a lot of it? Do you agree with the fact that companies just don't treat data they don't treat it as sensitive information that they should be protecting? And it's kind of once it gets out there, it's kind of oh, well, nothing's going to happen with it anyway.
Yeah, that's why we're seeing the laws are starting to catch up. We've talked about this several times over the last 50 episodes, at least. But yes, they seem to be lagging far behind. And now, like today is June 8th, 2023. We all know what happens tomorrow, June 9th. The FTC safeguards rule, the rest of it kicks into effect. And it really is forcing certain companies to deal with their information of customers, a specific way. And in a way,
we're gonna. Why don't we just go? We didn't do an episode where we went through that, right?
We did. We were live. I think you were from your Pennsylvania office, and the other three of us were in Orlando.
And we went through the safeguard rules.
We did. We did.
Somebody go find that episode. Somebody go find that episode and go learn what's in the safeguard rules. Because I was going to say we should do that, but if we already did it, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Just go back and find that episode. We'll link it somewhere,
right,
in this post. But
basically, what the rule requires, in a nutshell, is what we talk about every single week, but with a written plan, and then it is basically a certain amount of time that you do a scan. So you do a risk assessment on an ongoing basis, adjust your plan, re-implement, and
I'll even state it like this. I'll make it more simple. The safeguard rules basically force you to take your damn head out of the sand and stop acting like it's not a problem.
Yep.
That's ultimately what
I actually did a webinar on it yesterday. So you can look on my Facebook feed. There's a webinar yesterday when I went not super into it, but high level.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. That's something that business owners are classic, probably all of us included, of sticking our head in the sand because it's a whole lot less painful than looking at the truth.
Sure.
But you pull your head out you pull your head out of the sand and look at the truth, and then you have to deal with it. And you're right. That's what this rule does.
Right. That's 100% it. So number one thing, guys, I probably talked to, honestly, probably 100 business owners in the last 90 days about FTC safeguards. And the number one theme, the number one thing that comes out of it is you got to get a cybersecurity risk assessment.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's where it all starts. You can't go, you can't go another step without that in place, in my opinion, right? You can't start tackling cybersecurity until you know what you need to protect. You know what you have and what you need to start looking at and how to protect it. And that's what you get out of a cybersecurity risk assessment. Not to toot our own horns, but the three of us, our companies can absolutely do that for you. So you know how to find us. If you don't know where you stand with cybersecurity, if you have no clue what we're talking about when it comes to FTC safeguards, reach out to one of us. We are happy to help. So there's our commercial. That's what you get. That's what you get for listening to this show. So no, but it's really not a commercial. It's really honest to God. The three of us want to help everybody out there as much as we can around this stuff. So
Yep.
All right, guys, that's about it for me. I'm tired. Wrap it up. Thanks for your input. Anything else you guys want to add before we hit the end broadcast button?
I don't really have anything meaningful to add. I have a random thought.
Go ahead.
How do these blocks get arranged? Because I'm always in the bottom middle by myself.
Because you come in last.
Well, last week you came in last, and you were still right up there.
Well, I'm always first because I'm the host, I guess. I don't know. See that? Oh, now we're gonna mess with everybody.
No, I'm pretty
Make their eyes
comfortable
go crazy
with the way it is. I like being alone right here.
Yeah, there we go. How you like that? We have a open spot.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Ken at? Ken's supposed to be joining this.
Yeah, that's right, Ken.
So, all right, everyone. We'll see everybody next week. I'm sure the chock full list of breaches to cover. Stay safe out there. Hopefully it's not you. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.